snow. Getting kind of a Cold War vibe here.
Yeah, the 80s,
back
man.
in the 80s. Were you around during, like, the drills, like, in school where you had to hide underneath the desk in case there was, like, a nuclear bomb went off? Like, hiding underneath your desk would prevent you from, the nuclear fallout, explosion, or whatever.
I don't remember having to do that, though. I'm trying to remember, because I remember we had to do some kind of drill under our desk, but I don't remember it saying that. I don't remember them saying that was what it was for.
Yeah, we're getting very...
Like, first grade, I mean, was maybe when that's a long ways back to remember.
How do you think I feel?
Right.
I remember this shit. I remember the whole when the Cold War ended and stuff like that. Oh, what's this? We're just enjoying some 80s music here.
Makes me want to go to grade skate.
You did that?
Yeah, the roller skating rink.
Yeah, they had those?
Oh yeah, they still have it. It's still open.
Really?
Yeah, down in Phoenix. Yep.
Oh. Well, anyway, not fucking around. Big news this week. Well, two big things happened this week. And first off is, before we get into this, and everybody thinks that we're making light of it. We're not making light of what's going on in Ukraine right now.
No, it's sad.
It's sad. I saw. Do you see the one video? No, you're not on Facebook, so you didn't see it. Though there's this guy, and because if you're between 18 and 16, you can't leave the country because then you just stay and fight.
Right.
And so there's this guy, and he's maybe in his mid-20s, and he's putting this like 4-year-old girl on this train, and his wife to send them out, and he's crying, and the little girl's crying, and it's just like heartbreaking. I saw a video last night of the Russian tanks were coming into Kiev is how you're supposed to pronounce it. Mm-hmm. Kiev is the Russian pronunciation. The Ukrainian is Kiev.
Kiev.
Okay. I'm gonna fuck that up a million times. But he stands in front of the tank, much like the Tiananmen Square thing. You remember that video from like the late 80s, 90s, whenever that China thing happened? Anyway, he steps in front of this tank, and the tank stops because they don't want to run him over. And because I think the Russian soldiers, for the most part, aren't on board with what's going on. They're just following orders.
They have to do what they're told.
So they stop.
Kind of like in the United States.
And the guy climbs up on the front of the tank, and he grabs the barrel of the tank, and the tank starts going forward again. And then it stops, and you can kind of see the Russian soldiers like, hey, would you just get off? He gets off, and he kneels in front of the tank. And you're like, uh-oh. But then some of his bystanders come, they pull him aside, and tanks go on. I'll tell you what, the Ukrainians have a bunch of balls. Mm-hmm. A bunch of balls.
Well, they're like, fuck you. This is our land.
Yeah,
this has been our land for how long? And you're going to try to take it back now?
Yeah, it's like 30 years now.
But he's a lunatic.
He is.
He's a fucking madman in power.
I don't think our podcast is going to be heard in Russia anymore. But fuck them.
I know. And how sad is it, like, the brave Russians who are protesting, like, you get arrested for that. They arrested a guy in a wheelchair, an old man in a wheelchair, because he was out there protesting them.
Yeah. I'm going to get into that in a minute. First, the President Zelensky, who was a former stand-up comedian, of all things. He chose to go from stand-up comedy to be the president of the Ukraine. Now, if you remember...
I got to listen to some of his stuff.
We're going to bring us all full circle in this discussion. He's the one that the former president withheld $400 million of enemy aid because he wanted him to get dirt on Biden. And the whole reason why Trump was impeached in the first place was because of this.
All right.
That he withheld military aid.
Right.
And I think the whole thing is, part of the whole thing is Russia doesn't want the Ukraine to join not the United Nations, NATO. Mm-hmm. And because then if an attack happens, all the countries in NATO they sign the agreement that they all go in. And if one goes, they all go in. Mm-hmm. So Trump withheld military aid to get dirt on Biden, which is just you don't do that. It's not the way we operate. Anyway, he got impeached, and if you're a Trump supporter, okay, all right. But when this went down, Trump was on one of the right-wing radio shows or whatever, and he said that this move was brilliant because parts of Ukraine said they were independent of the country of Ukraine. So that's when Putin moved the military forces in, and Trump called it a genius move.
I know.
So what?
He's Team Putin. I mean, what? I don't know if it's just a situation where it's like sour grapes, so he can't say anything nice about Biden or throw any support that way. I don't know.
I don't think it's of that necessarily. I think it's more that Trump has a lot of assets, so to speak, and I think that some of his loans, business loans, are through, Russian-controlled banks. So I don't think he wants to say anything bad about Russia.
Okay, so wouldn't he be mad then, since they all got cut off?
Notice he hasn't said anything in the last few days. About it.
Well, that's good that he's keeping his mouth shut. No one wants to hear you.
The statement should be, though, that you should be outraged, and you'd be standing with the people, with Ukraine on this, no matter what your political leanings are.
I know. I got to thinking, and I'm like, dude, if that maniac does something crazy, and by maniac I mean I'm talking Putin. I mean Trump is also one, but I'm like, if he does something and tries to retaliate towards the United States, I'm like, whose side are these people? Who are these people going to root for? Are they going to start flying Russian flags?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't fucking understand. Like
if Rocky IV took place right now, would they be rooting for Drago over Stallone? If Stallone was a liberal, they would. They would root for Drago.
Yeah, it's like they've been playing comments of people like Mike Pompeo, who's like sitting there, who wants the apocalypse because he's like a ultra religious person. So he's just waiting for that to happen. But he's like saying Democrats need to be defeated at all costs. It's like, what the fuck does that even mean? And when did we become your enemy?
Yeah, who's the real enemy here? Is it Putin or is it Biden? I just don't understand it. You have people like Vitaly Klitschko. He used to be like the heavyweight boxing champion, but he moved back to the Ukraine. Yeah. And he became mayor of Kyiv.
Okay, yeah, I heard they were talking about that guy.
Yeah,
recently,
and you saw him taking up arms against the Russians that are coming in. Now, so far, Russia hasn't taken over any major cities or anything like that. But God, just so crazy what's going on. So it's just really like a crazy upside down world we're living in right now. And we're going to get to the other story that happened this week, because we're not foreign policy experts by any means, just like we're not infectious disease experts. We just have our opinions on everything. And the thing that also happened was we had the Freedom Convoy come through Kingman the other day.
Oh, yes, the truckers.
The truckers. Now, what they're protesting is...
Boy, did this whole Ukraine incident take the wind out of their sails, too. I don't even know if anybody's even talking about their convoy anymore.
They are on their Facebook page.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I would say that the response was a little bit underwhelming when they were pulling through the other day, because I didn't see shit.
Yeah, and they took forever to get to the point where I was on the 40. I mean, I had to work late and I still didn't see them. I saw the people out there, like, waiting for the convoy to come through, but I never saw the convoy.
Right, because they were over every overpass.
Mm-hmm.
There were people hiding their American flags over the edge and stuff like that.
There would be like 5 at some overpass, like maybe 10 at one. Like the one that was like the biggest one that I saw, there was probably like 50 people there, maybe.
Yeah, but if you go to every overpass, then that kind of...
I would say it was still under 100 people.
I think there were like only 60 trucks. Now, when they said that, there's going to be thousands of trucks, and I don't know if I live near the 40, and hell, I see over 60 trucks a minute going east on the 40. So a little underwhelming.
Wah, wah, wah.
And here's where we're going to get to the Russian protest thing. Okay, Russians can't protest. You cannot protest the government over there by any means.
You will be locked up
Immediately.
And it's like hard to get.
So
I think you go to like labor camps or something.
And I think you brought up the point on the last podcast is it's great to protest. It's great to get out there, get your voice heard, and stand up for what you believe in. But there's also consequences for that in most instances. You have to be willing to get arrested.
Right.
Say, like during the Women's March or
civil rights.
Civil rights. Or say they want to cut down a tree in the town square and you chain yourself to the tree. Well, you have to be willing to get arrested for that.
Right.
Because there's consequences to it. Now, I'm not saying like arresting peaceful protesters is the thing to go. But these dumb truckers, okay, I'm sorry to all the good truckers who didn't take part in this, who keep America going. They are the lifeblood, blah, 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 blah. I'm not saying this about all truckers. But to the ones that saying, oh, my freedom is against a tyrannical government because I wanted to, they made me wear a face mask for a few weeks back in April 2 years ago. There's no comparison to what's going on.
Yeah, and let us just say like few weeks, because we are in a red state. And by that I mean like, yes, we have blue senators, but we have our governor is very red. I think he's kind of a Trump humper, right?
Yeah, he
slightly, not as much as Gosar, but
he came out and said it's this week.
But he eliminated we didn't really have mask mandates. He left it up to the individual mayors. So it's like the people here, you only had to wear a mask for like 2 weeks during last April.
During the shutdown,
Yeah. You weren't inconvenienced. You're acting like they've stolen years from your life.
And wait till you hear their list of quote unquote demands. It seems rather silly compared to everything going on. Now get back to this. There was a local truck stop, which sits right on the outside of town, and it's basically if you travel any interstate and you get outside of a major city, well, just say a minor city, you go into these independent truck stops, and they're kind of dumpy on the inside a little bit.
Yeah, are we changing the name to like Lunatic Franks?
Yeah. For the sake of the podcast, we'll call it Lunatic Franks. So supposedly they donated 25,000 gallons of gas to these truckers. Now, do you know of any small independent gas station that could afford to do that?
I'm calling bullshit on that one.
Me too. Here's the reason, and then I can prove the theory right. Was on the Facebook, they said like Crazy Fred's and the local oil distributor donated the 25,000 gallons of gas, and they went out to the MAGA pizza place, which is 38 miles out in a small town in the desert, where these truckers all supposedly stayed that night.
And they just fueled up.
Now this is
from the tanker.
This is a small pizza place out in the middle of nowhere. The driveway isn't big enough for it, even if it was 60 trucks. It's not big enough to hold that. It just isn't. So supposedly they got a tanker truck to go out there to fuel these 60 trucks. Now there's not room to fuel these 60 trucks out there. The other part about it that nobody puts two and two together is the tanker trucks, they dispose the fuel into large tanks, and it's this big hose, it's got these locking things on it. It's not a fuel dispenser that you would use to fill up truck tanks.
And they don't have an attachment that they can put on there in order to do that.
But the hose size is a lot smaller, because you're talking, everybody who's listening might be able to see this. Picture a hose that's about 9 inches around than your normal fuel hose that's at at the local gas station.
Right.
I don't see how you get like the fuel nozzle thing. But then on the next morning, as the truckers were leaving, because they went in a back way to this town, to the MAGA Pizza, so they could avoid the weigh station. Mm-hmm. Okay, because these are independent trucks. Maybe they don't pass DOT inspections or whatever. They avoided going that route because you would have to stop at this weigh station and have your truck.
Didn't they want to make stops? I don't get it. I thought they wanted to inconvenience. Wouldn't that have clogged up the weigh station? And so,
but the next morning they said that the trucks were fueling up at Lunatic Frank's. Well, I thought that the tanker went out to the MAGA Pizza, and
I did see a ton of trucks at Lunatic Frank's when I drove by the next day. They were there, so yeah. It doesn't make sense.
And supposedly 60 trucks, but MAGA Pizza Place was setting up grills outside to, provide food for the truckers. I heard burgers, hot dogs. But then people are talking about, well, they made 800 pizzas.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
I guess they could have they had all day until those guys got there.
But they have one. I've been inside the place, because I just wanted to try the pizza. I just wanted to check it out, just research, whatever.
Mm-hmm. But for the show.
But for the show. And it had just the one pizza oven, that you could probably fit maybe 6 pizzas at a time.
Uh-huh.
So I find it hard that they would be able to cook, logistically, 800 pizzas that day.
Maybe somebody donated some ovens to them so they could plug those in and cook it up.
We tried to send a couple of our intrepid reporters out there, but nobody really wanted to go out there just in case because of the traffic and shit. But who would want to?
Yeah, I wouldn't have wanted
that mass
to deal
spreader
with it
event that probably happened out there.
Right.
Although we were lucky enough to have one of the waitresses here.
No way.
Yeah, she just started her job out there. Okay, and my Russian is not very good. Olga, right? It's Olga.
Yes, it is Olga.
Olga.
It's Olga. Let me see. Last name, so you do not butcher. It's Olga Lesko-Brandenkov.
Lesko-Brandenkov?
That's what I said. I am newest proud waitress at
That kind of sounds kind of like
Maga Pizza.
wow.
I am working on new flavor of pizza. It will be borscht pizza.
Really?
Really.
Was that what you were handing out that day?
I did hand out samples of it.
Was it popular?
It needs to be very popular if these people are going to start cheering for Russia. They better start learning the foods.
Wait, did they support the Russian pizza? They enjoyed it?
They did. They could not get enough. Have you seen these truckers? They will eat anything.
Oh, yeah, well, health isn't a very big concern of theirs. I also heard I was looking on the website for Maga Pizza, and the other new special was the pizza Putin on the Blitz.
Yes, that one's very popular too.
Pellini and sauerkraut.
Yes, who does not like a good sauerkraut on their pizza?
Well, and Pellini, like, it's this Russian meat mixed with onions.
Yes, this is amazing.
Oh,
I was making tons of those too.
I would imagine it would be like with a red sauce. Because red.
Yeah, blood red, yes.
Red. And they say it's an invasion of your taste buds.
Yeah, from the beginning.
Wow. So you were hired like right before this, or if that's correct.
I got my visa.
Oh,
I got my work visa. Yes. Hmm. Things were going to be getting crazy in Russia. I had to escape.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, well, thanks for joining us.
You're most welcome.
And what are your thoughts on Putin?
That is why I'm here. To cook the food.
Cook the food, spread the word.
To become American citizen. I'm trying to leave Russia.
But, well, I suppose. Are you all for the Ukrainian thing? The invasion?
Yes, I would be protesting. That's why I had to get out of here. Because then you go to work camp there. If you get caught protesting.
And who do you think was more braver? The truckers or the protesters in Russia?
Oh, the truckers here. Are you kidding me? It was most definitely the protesters in Russia.
Well, maybe you can find one to marry and get your green card.
That is what I'm hoping for.
Well, welcome to the United States, land of the free.
Thank you. Please come try borscht pizza.
All right. Well, I don't know if we will. I don't think Snow and I would be welcome there, especially after this episode.
Yeah, I think they'd probably take a good look at us and be like, nope, we can already tell that you're liberals. Hey, can't they, tell from miles away?
Olga, where's she going?
Maybe she had to get back to cooking pizzas. Who knows?
Never had a guest walk out like that.
She's like, I've said what I need to say, now I'm leaving.
Yeah, so 25,000 gallons of fuel, 800 pizzas. I mean, if it is true, hey, God bless him. Hey, Steve Bannon, he's all on board with what's going on over there.
Oh, yes, what did he say recently? His big thing? Oh, yeah, he was talking about, well, at least they don't allow you to fly gay pride flags in Russia, and they only have 2 bathrooms in Russia and 2 sexes in Russia. It's so terrible. He's such a savage or something like that. And I was just like, move to Russia then. Move. We don't want you here anymore. Oh, wait, you can't because you're supposed to testify or something, right?
Yeah.
He can't leave yet.
Did you watch Bill Maher yet this week?
I did not. I can't wait.
And he talks a lot about this and what it is. You know what you don't see a lot in Russia? Diversity.
Right.
And that's why certain members, when we say certain members of the GOP, embrace that. And you hate to call it what it is. You hate to say, because they always get on us because we say, oh, and that's racist.
Well, if you told them that they were for fascism or authoritarianism, they would look at us like we're crazy, like they have no idea. But it's because they don't know what those words mean. It's like, you guys most certainly, they would be happy if Donald Trump became president again and was president for 20 years, like it is in
Right.
Russia, you know? Like,
Right, but like they like to say like Russia's a democracy, but it really isn't.
no, yeah, it's not.
The way it's set up is it's set up so Putin can just stay in power.
Well, yeah, and anybody who comes to challenge him, he tries to poison him. He tried to poison the last guy that tried to run against him.
I wonder if he tried to poison Olga. That's why she got.
Probably why she got the
fuck
hell out of there.
But I had a theory, okay? Because conspiracy theories are the big thing, right? And we don't really need proof behind it. We just have to come up with something kind of logical. And I came up with it.
Okay.
The trucker convoy started on Tuesday, correct?
Right.
What day did Russia go into the Ukraine?
Wednesday, wasn't it?
No, it was Tuesday. Tuesday night.
Oh, it was Tuesday.
It
Late.
was late Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Here's my theory. Russian truckers started the Freedom Convoy to distract us from the invasion of Ukraine. Because now we're all focusing in on truckers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how did this all start? Russian interference in the elections, meaning they went in through Facebook, through bots, and they tried to divide us. That's why Donald Trump won. Mm-hmm. You put out all these ridiculous stuff about Hillary Clinton.
Right.
That's why Trump won the election. And that's how it became popular. And that's how we got so divided, was because these bots going in there spreading misinformation, and then everybody fractures off into two sides.
Oh, hell yeah. And Putin was all on board for getting us an idiot in office, for us getting an idiot in chief. I mean, that's what he wanted.
And so I think Russia was behind the Freedom Convoy, and all these truckers are just puppets.
And maybe Russia is the one that paid for all those gallons of fuel and pizzas.
God damn, that's a good point.
Maybe.
Because
this is fun. I want to start some conspiracies.
Because lunatic Franks, from what I heard, they can barely afford to pay their employees, much less give away $25,000.
I've heard that too.
Yes.
I've heard of employees going, they'd like get their check, and then they'd be like, well, I don't even know if I should go cash it because it'll probably bounce, and then my bank will charge me a fee because they don't even have the funds in here to pay me. So yeah, it doesn't make sense that Lunatic Frank would be able to buy all this.
Unless they had a Russian backer.
Unless they had a Russian oligarch.
Oh, man.
The wheels are turning.
It makes sense. And much like Joe Rogan, it's just conversation. Prove us wrong. Prove us wrong.
Yeah, prove us wrong.
Come on. Makes sense. It makes a lot more sense than some of the conspiracies that were going on about COVID. You know, so maybe we're onto something, and we're going to break this story, even if it means that we lose our Russian listener.
We only have one Russian listener?
Oh, so far. I wonder if we have any in Ukraine.
Maybe it was Olga.
She's a mole.
maybe
she's
that's a new conspiracy.
Maybe she's a fan, and that's why she decided to come here.
Right?
Be near us. Okay, so spreading around on Facebook, take it for what you will, the people were giving like a list of why this Freedom Convoy was happening. Because if you say it, they were saying, well, we're doing this to end mandates. Okay, so let's go through some of these. Okay, it's for the family members banned from visiting family in nursing homes and hospitals.
Okay.
Now, I don't think that's happened in the last year and a half.
Wait. Hold on.
Okay. Do you remember during the height of the pandemic?
So they're trying to say...
You couldn't go to the nursing home to see...
Right, because
members.
you would kill those people because they're the vulnerable ones.
Okay. But as far as I know, that is not happening anymore. As far as I know.
Right, I haven't heard of it happening.
Okay. It's to bring down the skyrocketing fuel prices that we are now paying at the pumps.
You can thank Putin for that.
Oh, which is going to get worse during this whole Ukraine thing. It's going to get worse. But during the COVID shutdown, which was under the Trump administration, okay? We need to point that out. People weren't traveling, okay? They just weren't, okay? What are these corporations going to do now that the pandemic is over? They're going to make their profits go up and get the money that they lost back.
Right. Prices will be raised.
Capitalism. That is what's behind the rising fuel prices. It's capitalism. It's not Biden's fault. Biden can't really control fuel prices. And
no, it's not the price. It was saying that is the same as how dumb it was when people on our side were blaming Trump for any time the gas prices would go up.
I don't think they did that though.
I think there was a couple of people, but
okay. It's to bring down the food prices that we were paying at the grocery stores and restaurants. Again, that's capitalism. Fuel prices go up. The price of groceries will go up to correspond. Now, anybody that's on that side, riddle me this. When the gas prices go back down again, why don't the prices at the supermarket go back down? They don't. Because people grow accustomed to paying a certain price for things. Again, capitalism. I mean, if they're...
I know.
If they're
and we're the ones getting screwed.
If they're protesting capitalism, more power to them, because that's what they're doing, according to this. It's for the censorship on social media platforms. Okay, well, social media are independent companies, right? And they can choose the content
to tell you what is not appropriate for you to put on their site. Yes, they are a private company. They are not run by the government, just if anybody needed to know.
Okay, Snow, you'll like this one. It's for the parents to have a say in their children's education and what they're being taught. These are the same motherfuckers who are in Tennessee or who are banning books in schools.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're the people who started cancel culture with Colin Kaepernick. They did it first. They canceled him.
You know, and I don't know. I mean, my kids, as far as what their teachers say about frustration in the schools, is that they're using the same textbooks that the teacher had when they were going to school. So say like the textbooks only go up to the 70s.
Right.
And of course, you're not going to teach anything about, you know, racial things in this country because you just can't. It's for the people who are afraid to speak in fear of being called conspiracy theorists. I don't think there's anybody.
We just did it.
Yeah. I don't think anybody lives in fear of that.
I know. They're just trying to justify their batshit stuff that they learned from QAnon, and they're mad because more people aren't buying into it.
Okay.
I don't know.
How about this one? It's for the people who didn't want to give up their freedom of choice. You mean...
They wanted abortions? And they weren't allowed?
They want women's rights? I mean, freedom of choice, right?
That's what,
my body, my choice. I mean, they were out there saying my body, my choice.
I know, but they might now think that that is actually something they came up with. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that they don't know that that is for Roe v. Wade.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're just here to provide education because we're one of the worst educated states. So that's all we're doing. It's for the people who don't want to give up their right to bear arms. I don't think that's ever been on the table.
How does that... What? How...
It says it
why do they always have to somehow wiggle the Second Amendment into every single one of their fucking arguments?
I didn't see a COVID.
When it has nothing to do with guns.
Did you see a COVID mandate that you had to give up your guns?
Never did I. Never did I know that COVID had anything to do with their right to bear arms. No fucking clue.
It also says it's for the people who don't want to be in debt for the next 100 years.
Then pay your bills and don't overspend.
And how about not raise the price of rent so it's outrageous so people can't afford it? How about corporations pay their fair share of taxes so it helps with the deficit?
How about corporations quit trying to cash in on the whole inflation thing that's happening right now? Ones that have nothing to do with those industries where prices have been inflated, they are still cashing in on it.
And let's also say, like, a lot of the rescue plans that happened at the start of COVID, those were signed off by the previous administration. These are just facts. It's for the people who only want answers to the many questions who haven't been answered.
Like what?
Well,
wouldn't you love to know what some of their questions are?
Yeah. See, that point, that protest just raises a question. It's for the people that are afraid to hug their family and friends. Which ones? If
If you're not afraid and you're a tough guy that doesn't wear a mask, how are you afraid to hug your family? I don't understand that. If you're not following any of the rules anyways, wouldn't you be out there hugging your family?
Yeah. How about this one? Maybe we can get on board with this Freedom Convoy. It's for the people who want their lives back.
Everybody wants their life back. Okay,
no,
that's...
How about George Floyd? I'm sure he wants his life back.
Right? Yeah, I'm sure
Trayvon Martin.
Right?
I'm sure their families want their lives back too. But hey, whatever, all lives matter. Oh, it's for the hairdressers to cut hair. I get my hair cut several times.
I didn't know there was salons shut down.
Well, there was during the previous administration.
Yeah, briefly.
Yeah, for like 2 or 3 weeks.
And then they were opened back up.
It's for the restaurants to serve food.
They're doing that too.
Okay. It's for the bars to play music.
Doing that.
It's for the students to learn. I think they're doing that.
The kids where we live, I don't know what states they're talking about that they're referring to, but there's even rules in some states like Florida where isn't it like you cannot wear masks and you cannot do that? The kids will be back in school full force. Don't they have some kind of law like that happening there? I don't know. I'm not a resident of Florida, but I thought that they have banned any of the other stuff. Like they've banned social distancing and all that stuff.
Okay. They should just call this the hypocrisy convoy. It's for the people who want to work but are forced not to.
Where are you forced not to? There's hiring signs up all over the place.
Yeah, people are just forced not to work because people don't want to work in fast food because of the shitty customers and shitty pay. But they're finding other jobs because unemployment is at the lowest rate that it's been in 20, 30 years? Something like that. This is for the people. We the people, and all these fucking people are out there saying that, are like the most selfish people. It should be like this is the me and myself and I protest.
Yeah.
All right. This is for trying to silence honest and hardworking citizens. Freedom of speech, baby. We can say anything on these mics. I don't know. I don't see that
and hardworking people, you guys are out participating in the protests to not work over all of this, all over everything that you've read. How do you call yourself hardworking? You could be working. You don't need to do this.
Okay. Never in my life have I ever seen the healthy punished and the sick untreated.
What?
It says it right here. Never in my life have I ever seen the healthy punished and the sick untreated. Then why are the fucking hospitals fucking full? You'll like this one. No. This is for the 30,000 surgeries canceled. Can you guess why the surgeries were canceled? Mostly during the previous administration.
Right. And it was during the start of the pandemic.
But why were the surgeries canceled? Pop quiz.
Well, we didn't have vaccines then. So they were canceled because you had people like these folks, these freedom heroes that wouldn't wear masks. So it was overwhelming our hospitals. Is that the answer that we're looking for?
Basically, what we're saying is the hospitals were so overwhelmed that they couldn't do the elective surgeries.
Right. Like, where do these people... Well, it would be a stupid question to ask. But, you know, every time I hear their stuff, it's almost like you want to ask them, where do you get your news? But you already know where they get their news.
Okay. This is for the exhausted nurses, teachers, parents, etc.
Yeah, because you wouldn't wear a fucking mask.
Oh, shit. What side is this Freedom Convoy on?
I know. What?
That's what it says right here. I'm just reading it verbatim. This is for the doctors going unheard.
Oh, you mean speaking out against the vaccines, like those doctors? Right. They're being heard. Joe Rogan has them on his podcast.
Yeah. Listen to 11 million people. A lot more than this podcast.
Right? They're being heard.
Okay. This is for all the frontline workers, delivery trucks, grocery store clerks, who are constantly working overtime. What you mean, the frontline workers, the nurses, the doctors who you were out there protesting against. You were blocking the hospital entrances. The grocery store clerks that you treated
like spitting in their faces,
treated like shit because they didn't have toilet paper because of the fucking hoarders, and the grocery stores were empty.
Or you'd try to rip their masks off, pull their masks down on them.
You would berate the grocery store worker for
wearing masks,
or for saying, "Please put on your mask before you go in here."
You beat some of them up
during the previous administration. Or the frontline workers, like the fucking people at McDonald's trying to make your order, and you treat them like shit because they fucking forgot something. It wasn't your liking.
Or they wore a mask that triggered you.
And then you berated them because, you know, a fast food worker shouldn't earn a livable wage. Get a real job is what you said. And then
that's a job for kids.
And then they go out and...
That's not a job to live off of.
Then they go out and get a higher paying job, and now there's nobody to run the fast food restaurant, and the line's back up, and then you yell at them because the lines are backed up.
Because there's no one there to flip your burgers. Okay. Flip your own burgers.
So they say this is for all of us. No. This is for you.
Yeah, this is for you individuals, you selfish individuals who don't think of others. I know you're trying to make it sound like you think of other people by the way that you're writing this thing, but it's not true.
And, you know, I skipped a few there, but that was the gist of it. But doesn't that seem like a pussy-ass bitch fucking move to protest this shit when you have what's going on in Ukraine?
Yes. It seems like they're spoiled brats who aren't getting their way. Yeah. They're throwing a tantrum.
And for the people that say, oh, well, you know, they're trying to take away our right to bear arms. If you were one of these gun nuts, like the ones that were quick to when they had the Black Lives Matter protests here in Kingman, they were quick to show up there to protect the protesters, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be their wet dream to fly over to Ukraine right now?
Probably.
But I don't know. Like, fucking, if Red Dawn happened right now, which side would they root for? Who would they take arms up against?
I know. That's my question. I was like, I don't know. Like, because it was scary. Like, they were playing, like, the hourly news thing. They were playing, and in the backgrounds, you could hear those sirens, which basically tell people, get the fuck out of here, like, you need to evacuate. And it was chilling, and it was haunting, and then I'm like, what if the worst did happen? What if things got worse? Your mind always goes there. It's like, I think that's like our natural human thing. And I'm like, my God, what side would these people be on now? Are you going to root against your own country because you don't like Biden?
Yeah,
like, I don't.
Are you going to pick out the left and the right and only defend like the people on your side?
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand some of these folks anymore.
I don't know.
And that's why I don't like talking politics with them anymore. I'm just like, because I live amongst them,
I know. And we've tried to get away from politics here, but we have to, get back
with
to it once
shit
in a
like
while.
this that happens. We always
Especially
get dragged back into it.
Especially if it's going to be World War III. Mm-hmm. But I guess we'll end it on this. Doing a little bit of research for this week for the podcast, I did find one of the songs because you know how Trump always gets in trouble for stealing people's songs and using campaign music, and the campaign always tells him to stop using the music unless it's like Kid Rock or whatever that
Cat Scratch Fever, dude.
Yeah, Ted Nugent.
the Nuge.
Or I'm Proud to Be an American guy, Lee Greenwood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but this is one of the songs that I think they're in consideration for Trump to use. Oh, hey, look, Olga came back. She's dancing for us.
You're playing my tunes.
Hey, Olga, thank you for coming by the podcast tonight.
You're welcome.
And, we'll let this play out. It is sort of a catchy tune.
I will go dancing on my way out.
Okay, Olga.
Thanks, Olga. You're awesome.
All right. Well, I guess we'll say goodbye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
See you next time.